Right, it's time for another huge debate here on Full Time Devils. Today we're talking about Jose and his relationship with the media. Of course we're talking about Jose after that press conference. We've got those to get through today. I am joined by two fans who have been very vocal about Jose Mourinho and the media on Twitter. Doc Joshi is here. Hello, mates.
All right, mate.
And Scott's here
How are we
too.
doing?
How are you doing, Scott? You good, mate?
Yeah, really well. Really well.
Right, let's get straight into it then. Talk about Jose versus the press, and we've got to talk about that press conference which has just been, and that lovely little Aretha Franklin tribute from Jose at the end. Respect, respect, respect. Doc Joshi, let's start with you, mate. What did you make of the press conference? Did you find it cringy? Did you find it embarrassing? Or did you think Jose was banging the right?
I think I didn't find it cringy or embarrassing. I mean, I watched the whole thing. I didn't just watch that one clip. I think if you watch that one clip of him putting his three fingers up and whatever, you don't understand the context or sort of the way the press conference went, and you take it completely out of context in terms of the way the press have been sort of speaking to him and about him, then yeah, it is sort of cringeworthy. I think one of the things to say is I don't mind that he's sticking up for himself. I mean, he's a man who's got a lot of achievements under his belt at the highest level of the game. And if he retired tomorrow, goes down as one of the greatest ever managers to have managed, which is fine. And I don't mind him bringing that up. The problem is that none of those, if I was going to say there was a problem, because I actually quite like the way he did it, none of those Premier League wins were with United. And, he has won trophies at United, but he's not, he's bringing up things that weren't at our club. So whilst I support the fact that he's sticking up for himself and he's sort of getting fed up of the way in which the press have gone on about, certain sections of the press. Let's not try and label every single one of them with the same sort of brush. But certain sections of the press haven't sort of given him a fair sort of whack, as it were. And I think it's fine. I think he's sort of hitting back. And I don't mind seeing that, a bit of fire in his belly a little bit. We've seen him a bit placid, and he's been a bit moany and a bit whingy over the summer. And I don't personally like that. And there is fair criticism for that. But I think I don't mind seeing this side of him. And I want to see more of it because it shows that he still cares. It shows that he's desperate to succeed. And I think it shows that he wants to turn it around. Whether he can is a different issue.
What did you make of those comments, Scott? In particular, the ones that Josh has been referring to there at the end when he was talking about the, the 3 Premier League wins. I personally didn't like that comment at all because not too long ago he was calling Arsene Wenger a specialist in failure who's won the same amount of Premier League. So,
I mean, I agree. I mean, with what Joshi just said, I completely agree with him. I mean, I look back in this, especially with the journalists, it's the constant attacks. I mean, if I go on to who do we bring in as manager, I mean, who would want to bring their family into a situation where the amount of abuse that they're going to receive from the journalists on a day-to-day basis? I mean, we're in a situation here where, I'm surprised Ed Woodward's not partnering up with Tampax. I mean, supporting a twat through a bad period at the moment. I mean, this is how far journalism has sunk. I mean, we're defending Jose Mourinho, and we're treating him like he's old Yeller. So, I mean, when it turns up with in terms of journalists, is they know just as much as we do as fans. Is the difference is they just write about it. I mean, after the treatment of Sir Bobby Robson, that was, I mean, for me, that was when I lost complete respect with the journalists. And the thing is before the internet, I mean, the whole picture has changed because before the internet, journalists and, the media to me were something that I read while I was on the crapper on a Monday morning. I didn't, it didn't have anything to do with my life. I didn't really get involved with them. I spoke about United with my friends. And since social media, they've had to obviously come out of their bubble, come into our world and interact with us, and they just fail miserably. And that's, I think, one of the reasons why we do back Jose Mourinho, because they come across as arrogant. And, I'm glad he came out with how he did. I'm really glad that he came out with how he did because it's about time. And he reminded me of Brian Clough. He's just, he's not obviously as sharp as him, but it just reminded me a lot of Brian Clough. Like, come out and basically say, look, you couldn't do what I can do. And nobody can do what he can do. Nobody did what Sir Alex Ferguson did. It's just one of them things. So, I'm glad he did. And I agree with everything that Joshi just said. It was spot on. Good on him.
What's the
But
way?
Gaz,
Go on.
coming back to your point about what he said about Wenger, yeah, that was something that he said, but you know, we can see that as disrespectful, and it was. But we're talking about that's two managers head to head in a sort of a battle, and you get it, and you look, they're vying for some sort of advantage psychologically, and Mourinho had that advantage on paper in terms of the results he had against Wenger, right? This is guys who are sort of they're paid to report on the news and the truth, right? That's what they're supposed to be doing. And at the moment, what you've got like a few different classes. And I'm not saying all of them fall into this bucket, but essentially you've got those that totally make stuff up to get clicks. And we've seen them, Metro, Sun, things like that. Those those that basically hide behind their sources. Oh, my source said this, my source said that. And yes, things change, but you know, that's all they do. That's all they do. And actually, at some point, you've got to go, well, you need to get new sources, right? Yeah. Then you've got those that are sort of, they court controversy just to get the clicks and to get the things. And you've got like things like targeting Raheem Sterling, things like that. You've got that. And then you get the good ones, that, you know, the feature articles, stuff like that. But even there, you've got issues, right? So, and all of this is because they're not just competing with each other anymore. They're competing with, you know, other media outlets. They're competing with online. You're competing with FullTimeDEVILS. You're competing with blogs, and there are some very well written blogs. You're competing with podcasts. I can't remember the last time I bought or even read a newspaper. I can't remember the last time I went onto one of those sites. I read feature articles. That's why you don't see these match reviews anymore. That's why you see all these controversial things. Even this article that Rob Smith has written recently, maybe yesterday, was published on Joe, where he's talking about Mourinho. It's very well written. He's talking about how, you know, there's all the situation. But this is and he's been lauded for an excellent piece of writing, etc., etc. But it's the same guy that in 2006 said Ferguson had lost it and completely was tarnishing his legacy, etc. These guys aren't accountable to anyone as long as they're getting clicks. So this is where we're starting to see, well, I lose respect for people who start to fit into those categories where they're just trying to generate controversy for the sake of it. I mean, this comes back to like certain outlets the other day were reporting on Mourinho turning up early for a press conference. And you got Hugo Lloris, World Cup winning captain, Spurs captain, done for drink driving, endangering people's lives. I mean, you know, let's just see. There's a sort of a bit of a balance that you've got to see here, and this is why I'm coming on the side of Mourinho. Other people won't. And I'm here as a fan, not even rational in this sort of discussion. Yeah. I've got to the point where a lot of these guys, they stick up for each other as well. They like close ranks, and it's like some sort of exclusive area. They don't like the fact that bloggers and vloggers and podcasters are stepping in on their territory, and they don't like it, right? Yeah. But and they're closing ranks, and they're starting to sort of say, oh, well, you know, we did this, we did that. And yes, I respect them when they're telling the truth. And the thing is, they do have an influence, and they do influence the way in which people think. We've seen that with other sides of the press, not just in the sport. So, yeah, there's a lot going on.
I'm just laughing.
Like I said, interrupt. It's like, I mean, the way they talk about Jose Mourinho is like they could do his job. I mean, but when you look at some of these people, especially, like I said, this Chris Weiner from the Mail, I mean, he's Mr. Clickbait. I mean, that guy couldn't command respect. Well, he commands as much respect as Long John Silver's parrot, this guy. I mean, there's a lot of, you know, even Ollie Holt, when he comes out, I mean, he might as well just say, I hate Man United, you know, the minute he wakes up in the morning and just posts that out there. You know, there's just a lot of things where you're just reading it. I mean, I'd just like to ask you, how many times have you just read like I said, the opening statement on a tweet, and then it's got a link to, you know, the actual article? I just read that and I go, no.
Yeah.
No. And like I say, and then we've got to a point, like I say, I just think it's because they're now accessible, because they're out of the bubble, because they have to speak to us. And the way they do speak to the people, especially on Twitter, I mean, they just dismiss you like you know nothing, and you go, wait a minute, you know as much as me, mate.
Exactly, yeah. What are you that I'm not?
Yeah, exactly. Like I said, it's my managerial experience is literally, you know, working with my mate who was doing Sunday League, and all I had to do was make sure everyone turned up on time and wash the kit. That's as far, but that's as much as these journalists know.
I feel like what Joshi made a good point then, you know, about how bloggers and vloggers have sort of changed things a little bit. It's because like it's literally like we are no airs or grace about us. We are just fans. Like, that's it, you know. You've not got us sat here. I'm me here, like, I'm a journalist. Like, I know more than everyone. Like, can you imagine a world where I'd do that? It's just
I'm
ridiculous.
a football expert, bro. I'm a football expert.
Yep, some really good points made all around there, especially when Joshua was speaking about the media a little bit before and about how there are good sides and there are bad sides. There are good pockets and bad pockets. We shouldn't be lumping them all in the same basket, really. Right, let's get back to Jose. Let's get back to the man in question ahead of today's debate. How does he sort these media types who are sort of over amplifying the problems and maybe being slightly disrespectful? Like, how does he actually deal with them now in press conferences? Because I'm not saying he should do this, because for me this would be well too far and totally be almost totalitarian in a way. But Fergie did ban a few back in the day. What would you say to that, Scott?
I would just do what, just give them one-word answers. You don't need to have to ban him, but just treat him with the kind of respect that they're showing him. Just give him one-word answers. And at the end of the day, it's like I said, it's the media relies on the fans. They rely on us to read their stuff. So when we're hearing, like I said, the kind of stuff that they're asking him, and we're just thinking, what a knobhead question. It looks bad on them. So all he has to do is go and do his press conference, give him one-word answers, especially if it's just talking about gossip. Because like I say, when I hear a press conference, I want to hear who's injured, who's looking good, who's coming back. What does he think about the other side? We're not getting that. We're getting like this OK magazine, who's with who, and it's just getting to a point where I'm getting sick of it, because that's the only access I get to Jose Mourinho is to get these press conferences. And when I get in these press conferences, it's just questions about people's personal lives, and I'm not interested. I'm interested in what's the 11 going to be, which part of the which in terms of the opposition do we fear, how are we going to sell to play, what's the mood of the camp, things like this. We're not getting this. We're just getting stupid gossip. And like I say, if I were him, just give him one-word answers, and if that's the case, then we'll find other ways. But,
that last press conference, it felt like the whole thing they were just fishing. It honestly felt like they were just trying to get the reaction out of him. And I feel like Jose is intelligent enough to know that if he did want to sort of piss them off, essentially, then he would just give them one-word answers. It sort of still feels like, and maybe these are sort of, I don't know, Jose tinted glasses, whether that makes sense or not. But it still feels like he's kind of doing it on purpose, because he wants all the attention to be on him and detract from the pitch. And that is obviously a classic Jose method. Doc Joshi, do you agree? Do you disagree with that?
I think that, there might be something to that, but I think in this press conference and potentially others, I think a lot of emotion came through as well. I think he knew that he knows he's in a hole, but he also knows that he has to be the one to take it out. He didn't like being pushed. I think he did react. I don't want to be someone who says all these guys, Ferguson's done it, the greats have done it, Guardiola's done it, everyone's done it, where they do react to certain things. And everyone likes to think, they'll write, oh, this was calculated, this was this was that. I think potentially the applause of the fans was maybe calculated to a point. But I think he did react in the press conference, and that's fine. He's a human being. Everyone will do it. We all do it. We're fans. We'll swear all sorts and sort of launch abuse, and we've seen it all over Twitter and whatever. And he's done that in the press conference. What I would say is he needs to also stop briefing his own nonsense in the press, which we've seen over the summer. We're sort of wise to it now. We're seeing all this stuff come out. Woodward, Pogba, Raiola, Mourinho as well. He's not without fault, and he is not blameless. He's definitely a big part of the problem, but he's also in direct control of what he can do with the team and what he can, in terms of what he briefs. I think he needs to close ranks, do what he does best, and get on with coaching the side. And people talk about he doesn't know how to coach teams. Of course he knows how to coach teams. He's a treble-winning manager. You don't tell him that he can't coach a team, right? Yes, it was in the past, but so what? Ferguson won the treble in '99, was still doing things later on. It happens, right? So what I'm saying is he needs to close ranks, forget all this nonsense. So does Woodward, so does Pogba, so do the players. Just get on with it. Because the press and the media, or however you want to label them, they're not a vehicle anymore where we're going to sit there and go, yeah, we believe that. we know we've become savvy over the years, or certainly I have. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, beforehand, if something turned up in a paper, I'd be like, oh wow, that's awesome, we're in for Alan Shearer. Totally. Oh my god, Roberto Baggio's coming to United. Do you know what I mean? Like, but now it's you sort of grow savvy to it, you understand a bit more about how these things work. And Woodward's got his little guys in the press to where they'll place articles for him. Mourinho's got his. We just don't want to see that anymore. It's like these two guys are having a battle in the media, and now that Mourinho's done this with the press, he's just got to stop that nonsense. And if it comes down to printing lies, and this is where I think he got really angry, was the idea that these guys are twisting his words. It happened with Pogba after the World Cup. They picked up on the one line which seemed disrespectful, but actually if you watch the whole interview, he's very positive about Pogba. He's effusive with his praise, but then he says, right, and now you've got to bring that to the Premier League because we want to see that at Man United. That's what they picked up on. So this idea that they're twisting, so he's got to just start basically, I don't care if he bans them, and say, look, I'm done with you, you're twisting my words, and then he just cracks on. But he just needs, all these games need to stop, basically.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the President of the United States is doing it, so I'm sure that Jose can get away with kicking people out of his press conferences, can't he? Right, I thought it would be fun today, since it's a Jose versus media debate, that we talk about some of our favourite past Jose versus the media memories, because he's come out with some belters in the past, hasn't he? I'm going to be honest, right? I know that obviously a lot of United fans have mixed opinions, had mixed opinions towards Jose before he became Manchester United manager. Obviously, some people hated his guts. I was one of those people that actually always found him funny. Ever since he turned up with a special one comment, I was like, you know what? I'm going to find it hard hating this geezer. Any particular memories that stick out for you guys on Jose versus the media? Scott?
I mean, like I say, when he arrived, I mean, he just reminded me of Brian Clough. Just that kind of I'm the best. And I love the times when it was him and Sir Alex Ferguson ganging up on Rafa Benitez and Arsene Wenger. I love those times. And like I say, the amazing part was him and Sir Alex had a great respect for each other, and they never really had a go. But the best one for me was when he destroyed Conte. That was just because that got personal, but he was spot on. And no, I was laughing for days on that one. And well, yeah, I mean, he's provided us with entertainment. That's the thing. Is probably why we're so magnified at the moment. We've got the biggest personality in football in terms of Jose Mourinho, with the biggest club, with the biggest fan base, and that's why we get scrutinised every day. But this guy is. Yeah, he's funny when he's on his day. And the last conference he had, it was hilarious. It was just brilliant. Like, he's your best back four.
What was the Conte comment again? Was it about his hair or something?
It's about bribery.
Oh yeah, of course. I forgot. Oh, that was mad, wasn't it? That was proper mad. I couldn't believe when he brought that out. When he first came out of it, I was like, he doesn't mean what I think he means there, does
it? Was just gold. It was like conversation stopper, and that was it. It ended the feud completely.
It did, didn't it? He was like silent after that as well, wasn't he? Because he was scared about what Jose would say. Doc Joshi, favourite Jose versus the media memory?
I don't have a specific one. I think that what I want to see back. So going back to what your question was, what's your favorite memory? What would you like to see him do a bit better? I was actually one of the guys who really disliked him, right? And I think that comes from, there's a reason why people disliked Sir Alex and people disliked United, is because they're so successful and so good at what they did. And it's probably from that. And I used to rib him when he came out with these silly statements after matches, excuse after excuse. But he's a United manager now, so he's my manager. But what I liked about him, I would do have to say, he was charming, he was relaxed, he knew he was good, but he didn't force it in people's faces. And I think that I want to see a bit more of that. And it's difficult at a club like United when you've got so much scrutiny, so much pressure. But he's got the backing of the fans, I think, in general, overall. I mean, with Moyes, with LV, with Louis van Gaal, you rarely saw booing in the stands. You rarely sort of, people, yes, we had the plain banner, but we then actually, after that match, everyone was giving him a standing ovation, which was just ridiculous. So the fan base will back him. But I want to see him less of the games, more of the sort of, not maybe he's never been relaxed, but that sort of, he's quite a charming guy when he wants to be witty,
Suave. He can be.
Exactly.
It's like Jose is either like ultra suave James Bond style or properly dishevelled.
Yeah.
Like there's no in between with him.
I was saying on Twitter, it was when we have to worry most about him is if he turns up like he's been on a three-day bender and he stumbled through the club shop, then you sort of know, okay, he's on his way out.
Which he does look like at the moment. So
does he? No, he looked all right in that press conference. Shirt clean shaven, hair was done. But yeah, I just want to see him back to what he was. I don't know if we will. I think there's kind of like a pre-Real Madrid and post-Real Madrid Jose Mourinho. And that's maybe where he was broken because he didn't get the backing of the fans. He overcame, he beat Pep Guardiola's sort of arguably greatest ever side, Barcelona side, and still didn't get really the love that he deserved. And then because of the Champions League, and maybe that's broken him, and also the fact that Moyes got his job. I don't know what it is, but I just want to see him forget this nonsense and just get on with what he knows he can do.
My big worry is if we lose to Burnley, and then you've got that week break, the international break. If we can beat Burnley, then we've got the international break. Then we'll have a bit of that breathing space where he'll have. But if we lose, you just know the media are just going to carry on going, because the only thing that's going to stop the media from carrying on, with the negative stuff is if we win games, and it's quite a long way to winning the next match. So we have to beat Burnley.
But that is a measure of how poorly he's done. So I'm not here. I'm defending him, but to a point. Yeah, it is a measure of where we are at the moment. That we're worried about a loss to Burnley. And they've got Europa League to worry about as well this week. But that is a measure of where he has sort of failed. And he needs to realise that he's not totally infallible. Like the way, some of the behaviour I can get behind. And I really am desperate for him to succeed and have been. And I've wanted him since Ferguson retired, But at the same time, I'm not so blinded that we're just all blaming Woodward. Yes, there are some serious issues where they've undermined him with transfers, undermined him with decisions, not given him some of the tools that he wants. Yeah. But he's got to do what he's there to do and get the results out of these players. Yes, some of them are shockers, but he needs to start doing that. And that's this conversation in itself is a measure of where he's failed.
And the thing is with the Woodward thing is there's nothing he can do now. We can't go and sign another player, If it was a marriage, he's already cheated. You have to try and move on. But
and I think that's why he's not come out and totally. The way he's spoken, we know that he's sort of been undermined by Woodward and some of the briefings that have come out. But he hasn't come out and totally lambasted the Glazers, lambasted Woodward, because he wants this job, he wants to succeed, and he doesn't want to just be launched. I mean, in the past, he's just gone full proper meltdown. This isn't a meltdown. This is he's giving it like giving it some sort of aggro. And he's being a bit whatever. But yeah.
Okay, gone off on a slight tangent there, but let's it's fine. Let's go back to talking about Jose and the press. How can you see the relationship developing in the future? Do you think that there's any way that Jose can maybe bring them back around, or is it just going to be them keep hammering him until he either gets sacked or wins the league?
Nothing's going to change. The media need clickbait. The media need to have this. Nothing is going to change because it's been the same way for the last, since I can remember, 20 odd years. The difference was Sir Alex Ferguson didn't take any crap. But like I said, it really started with Moyes, because once Sir Alex went, it was like, right, then we can really have a go. And with Louis van Gaal, we saw the full force of what they were capable of. And now we're seeing it with Jose Mourinho. No, it's not going to end ever. He's going to get the same kind of things because it makes money. Unfortunately, the media make a lot of money from, like I said, having this type of, like I said, Coronation Street bloody storylines. It's one of them. So no, it's not going to end. He's going to get good times, bad times, worse times. But we'll probably be having this debate again in another 4 weeks.
Well, we were talking. This debate is Jose versus the media, but I think you've made a really good point there. And I want to ask Joshi, do you think this could be a sort of problem, a recurring problem, basically, for every Manchester United manager going onwards now? Because obviously it happened to Moyes, and it was very bad for Louis van Gaal. Obviously, it's as bad as it's been for Mourinho now. Is the next manager going to get this as well?
Absolutely. I mean, that's unfortunately the nature of the beast. And look, the thing is, I do not go out like this. I don't go out and watch read articles about rival teams and stuff like that unless it's negative, just because I like to read it, right? Like the Abu Dhabi sort of human rights scandal and all that kind of stuff with regards to Man City and all that. You know, I'll read that and go, yeah, look at those bastards. So for United, everyone hates us, or has done historically, right? Because we've been so successful in the past. And now they're loving it, and rightly so, whatever, that's their prerogative as rival fans. So they're going to click on these articles about United, whilst when we're doing really well, if there was some puff piece about, or if we won the league, let's say at the end of the year, none of those articles are being clicked on by Man City fans, Liverpool fans, Arsenal fans, Chelsea fans. So it will continue. And look, the thing to say is it's not always clickbait. They have a job to do. And they can voice their opinions. It's when it starts going into some of those categories I talked about earlier that it becomes a problem for me, and probably where Jose Mourinho sits. So I don't see it changing, but I don't think it necessarily I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing, in that, you know, it still means that we're big enough and relevant enough. It's when we're not relevant, you've got to really then start worrying. What the manager needs to realize is he's in that type of position. You know, people talk about the scrutiny that England manager comes under. Well, the United manager we've seen is under way more scrutiny in this country, right? And I think he's feeling it, and he's starting to understand that, or maybe he should already have understood that. I'm hoping that sort of outburst, because it was a bit of an outburst, is hopefully something clicks in his head that he's just got to concentrate on the football and forget about these guys.
Okay, this is the 30-second round where I decide who's won this debate based on basically how well you can sum up your argument, what you've said today already about Jose Mourinho and the media. In the week where the media openly laughed to his face, yet the media actually laughing at our manager's face, I want to hear what you guys have to say. I want to hear you sum it all up here. So let's start with, I think we started with Scott a couple of times already. So Joshi, 30 seconds, sum up what you've said already. Go.
Right, I think Jose needs to just stop these games, concentrate on playing football, and win this battle with the press by winning games on the pitch. Yeah. Again, that's the best way to do it. Yes, he can have these outbursts, and he does deserve respect for his achievements in his career, but this is not the best way to do it, because the press aren't going to change, and we all know that. So concentrate on the team, get the results on the pitch, and then stick up four fingers at the end of the season, or next season, because I think this season's probably already done.
Brilliant. Very concise as well, well within 30 seconds. Yeah, I'm sorry. Look, you know me, I try and be positive, and I know it's only been 3 games, but come on. Scott, 30 seconds, sum up what we've said about Jose versus the media. Go, mate.
He's hilarious. I hope he carries on. I really do. Just keep having a battle with the media, because that will take the emphasis off the team. But no, I mean, I love it. It's a part of, like I say, it's a part of, you know, it's turning into our culture. But no, just keep it going. As for the media, they're never going to stop. So it is what it is. It's up to us to whether we choose to read it or not. You know. And the only way to change someone's behaviour is to obviously change what we read. So that's it.
Some very good opinions there, as always. Always good to chat to the guys. I mean, Jose did say it himself, didn't he? The only people with good opinions about football are the fans. So case in point today on the debate, I do think, if I do say so myself. I can't decide a winner, I'll be completely honest. I think everyone's made really good points. So if you want to do it in the corner up there somewhere, you can vote on the winner yourself. Get in the comments below as well. Get involved with the discussion about Jose Mourinho versus the media. Is there an agenda, really? Or are they just doing their job? Get in the comments, let us know. Subscribe and keep an eye out. Full Time Devils, loads of videos on the way. Scott, good to have you on, mate. Doc Joshi, always good to speak to you, dude. And we'll catch you soon. Laters. See you in a bit.